Welcome to the Two Doors podcast, where we open the doors to Australia's top minds in tech, talent, and transformation. Hosted by Alexander Gill, founder of Two Doors Recruitment, we cut through the noise with real conversations from leaders building the future of work. Subscribe to the show to hear and see more of these types of conversations. Let's get into it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Two Doors podcast. And today you are in for a treat. I am here with somebody who has the most fabulous hair, Daisy Wong. Daisy is a cybersecurity leader and disability advocate with a passion for building inclusive, people-first security cultures. As head of security awareness at Medibank, she brings over 12 years of experience across IT and finance, blending marketing expertise and technical insights to build and design impactful accessibility programs. Born and raised in Melbourne with Hong Kong heritage and lived experience of spina bifida, Daisy brings a powerful intersectional lens to her work. Known for her bright pink wheelchair and even brighter leadership, she also serves as sponsor manager at AWSN, champion visibility and access for women and people with disabilities in security. Daisy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
Hey, I'm very excited because you do a lot of work out in the community as well, don't you? That's how I've seen you out there.
That's how you found me?
Yes.
Yes, no, I do. And I really like, being an advocate if I can. And, I always say this, I didn't have a role model growing up, like someone who was in a wheelchair or had physical disability. I know you're not from Australia, but have you seen those TAC ads, like drink driving ads on TV?
Yeah.
Not many people watch TV, I don't. But if you look at them, a lot of it is like if you drink and drive, the consequence is a wheelchair. But I can guarantee you, I never drink and drive. I was born with a disability. So, I feel like there's just a very negative connotation with using a wheelchair or having a physical disability. And adding that I'm Chinese, it doesn't help. There's a lot of shame.
Wow.
Yeah. As from the Chinese culture, there's a lot of shame in having a disability.
Really? And so you're out there just spreading the word saying, hey, let's increase emotional intelligence, be aware of other people.
Correct. Yeah. And what true inclusivity actually means. Because I think we have made progress. There's a lot of talk of, diversity, equity, and inclusion in workplaces, in, society, but I don't think we're there yet.
And on that point then, what is true inclusivity?
I think true inclusivity means that it's baked into the system. Meaning I don't need to double check and call the restaurant to make sure it's accessible, right? Because why is that onus always on me? And also people not to make assumptions. This happens many times in Australia, no offense to my Aussies, but it's happened so many times, even as, as recent as Tuesday, I went and someone invited me to do a panel and there was no ramp for the stage.
Right.
And the venue's like, oh, you need to pre-book it. But I don't understand. It was a hotel, 5-star hotel in Melbourne. And I'm like, but why would you not just have a ramp?
Correct.
And they wouldn't valet my car. And so I was stranded in the car park for 20 minutes until my friend could come get me.
And this is a 5-star hotel?
5-star hotel in Melbourne.
Wow.
Not going to name and shame yet.
No. I like that.
But it's just disappointing. And I just came back from the US. Like 2 weeks ago, Chicago, and I've been to quite a few cities in the US, and they are by far so much more accessible than us.
And is that they've got everything set up, like you don't have to ask?
Yeah, so it's baked into the system. Like I don't think I really struggle with any of the buildings, and I also think as like just a general population, I feel like they are more open-minded, and they genuinely are used to people with different accessibility needs. So here I go to restaurants and, a lot of the wait staff are like, I don't know if we have a ramp. And then I kind of see it and I think, is that the ramp? Can I use it? But then it's all blocked with like chairs or they've never used it. While I felt like in America, it was always available. I did go to a venue where you had to go through kind of someone else's restaurant to get to the ramp, but that staff were ready. Like they expected me. There was no shame. There was no awkwardness. Yeah. So I think we've got some way to go.
And this is the power of you being such a wonderful advocate because people can be more aware. And it's
100%.
just like, if that's in the system, it's baked into the system, then other people are aware, they're known.
That's right. And in workplaces, right? I have been in one team where I organized, I kid you not, every single social gathering you can think of, from drinks to Christmas parties to farewells, because it was easier for me to take on all the burden than to have to ask every single time and kind of feel like a nuisance or feel like a burden. I know it sounds like a very hard, like, heavy word to use, serious word, but it's true.
But then that word as well, burden, can learn to burn out because,
Correct.
it's if you take on too much, there needs to be more. I think because we're social beings, right? And
Yeah.
it's like people just need to be like, hey, this is all taken care of,
Yeah.
and that comes down to the system.
That's right.
And I do want to dig in some of that diversity as well that
Mm.
you champion. So, how can companies support diversity?
I think it's always good so look, there's policies and, really supporting that and having things like, every role you hire for, you want to have like a good balance of female and male candidates. So things like that. So that's the formal side of things. So the quotas aren't perfect, but at least I guess we're trying to work towards, all right? So that's kind of the formal side of things. Now, in terms of what does true diversity inclusion mean, I think it's really important. I've said this a few times this week, the art of learning, the art of asking for help, and it goes both ways.
Yeah.
So the employer needs to learn to ask the employee what they can do,
Mm.
right? But I think the person with the disability as well also needs to learn the art of asking.
Yeah. I agree. There's almost like the culture goes two ways. There's like she'll be all right, that
Yes,
so people don't put enough thought or care. But then the other way, it's like, oh, if I ask for help, people will see me in a certain way. It's
that's right.
like even just prior to this, right? We couldn't get the podcast equipment to go, and someone who's well versed. I've been doing this for like nearly a year. It's like
Yeah,
I've even got this set up, and it's like, well, I couldn't work it out, and
yeah,
because we needed help, and
that's right.
that's just life, isn't it? And it's
It is.
asking for um I think as well, it comes down to the culture of the company.
Mhm.
I think some cultures, we've seen those boys' clubs or men's clubs. Well, you know what I mean. But
Yeah.
then there's other people where it's like, hey, everyone's a human. Like I'm a complex human. Like looking at me, you probably, oh, this is just a bearded egg. Who is this guy? But my dad's Spanish, my mum's Welsh, and then I grew up in London. But then I live in Australia. I used to live in New Zealand. Like I've just learned that everyone's there's only one race, the human race, and that's
Exactly.
what I'm an advocate for. And is there anything like systematic that companies can be doing more of or better of to help support?
Yeah, 100%. I feel, again, asking and also having just as simple as like when you apply for roles, that there is a spot for you to say, yes, I identify as someone with a disability. This is what I need. Because I find that a lot of places where I've applied for roles, I think pre-COVID was probably worse. Somehow since COVID, I think things have improved. But like I said, on the Tuesday where I couldn't get on stage, I had actually put in the dietary requirements section wheelchair accessibility because there was nowhere else for me to put it. So that's again something to think of and also make it easy. So make it easy. And remember, I can only speak from a lived experience, meaning I'm in a wheelchair. I don't understand what it means to be visually impaired. So how do they do it? Is the website accessible? And is it easy for them to contact and be like, hey, I'm struggling to see or access your website. Can you help me? Like, is there a number that like you need to make it easy and, think about? Yeah, I feel like it needs to be designed with everyone in mind.
You're right.
Yeah.
And that comes from leadership, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Of just that, hey, we're going to think of everyone,
Yeah.
not just
100%.
okay, this way, and even digging further because I enjoyed our last conversation where we were talking about diversity of thoughts
Yes.
as well, and diversity of people as well as the
Mm.
accessibility. So, like, yeah, how can we support more of that?
Yeah, I feel like, it's hard. Just someone said to me the other day, or when I did something, I think we unconsciously hire people and you know, we're attracted to people who look and sound like us.
You're right.
So we may not look alike, but we both speak English, without a very distinct, accent. You definitely sound English. And I definitely sound Aussie. But do you know what I mean? Because, and then if you're from Melbourne, we have something else to connect. Like you end up kind of hiring and you kind of be connected with people you have something in common with, which is great. But I think, diversity of thought is really important. So being a female in the cybersecurity industry, I've been the only female in so many teams. And I've had male colleagues say, "Have you ever thought of being less like you and more like us?" I'm like, absolutely not.
Are you joking?
No, because they're like, "Oh, we don't know what to do with you." I'm like, "You don't need to do anything with me." Like, I'm quite unapologetically myself.
Please do.
And I do think being authentic is the best way, though.
Yes.
So I respect that they're, I was gonna say boring, but I respect them. They're into footy, they're into like, I've been in teams where I was the youngest female. So I was probably 25. Everyone in my team was over 45, 50. Children, different life stages, interests, but that didn't mean we didn't respect each other. We could still have a lovely conversation,
Yes.
and they needed that diversity of thought because they were all kind of the same. How to do things, how to go about things, the way you communicate was exactly the same. So I think I was able to bring that in. But it is hard. I think, we've all had the pressures of assimilating to fit into a team. Yeah,
But I also on your point of authenticity, I think it's like going, well, everyone's different, and we're going to get to a better. We're going to reach our goal better when there's more
100%.
diversity of thought or
Yeah,
diversity of people. I,
yeah,
I,
that's
I
right.
love it. People are always teaching me, but that's because I think I'm a curious human.
Yeah.
Whereas some people, it's like they're curious how their sports team's going to go, rather than
Yeah.
it's like what can this person teach me or what can I learn,
Yeah.
and even like we spoke about this, didn't we?
Mm,
Diversity of thought, like it's becoming more of a spoken topic, isn't it? But
it
I
is.
think that when there's more people that have different thoughts and the way that they approach problems, it makes a better outcome.
100%. Because otherwise, it's the same thing. Like I said to you, it's the same way you communicate. There's no innovation. And I actually think we have a lot to learn from other departments, other functions in your business. Like, I've got some really good ideas on how to train and communicate with employees, but it's come from the frontline team
Yeah.
because they've done the role, and this person no longer is, on the call center, but they've now moved to corporate. But their experience they can share with me,
Yes,
and I would never get that if I just stayed in my own bubble.
it's true.
And I also think it's really important to be open minded. You can be a subject matter expert, but you can still be open and take feedback. Like a feedback loop is really important.
It's sometimes hard though, isn't it? Because of that ego. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want feedback, but I thrive on it. It's like, please tell me, be
Yeah.
direct. It's like
Yeah, exactly.
we had Simon Smiley Andrews on the podcast. He spoke about concept of cheeses,
Mm,
and he said in sports teams you have a hard cheese and a soft cheese. And the hard cheese are like people you can shout at and tell, and they love
mm.
that feedback. But soft cheese is like you've got to talk more about feelings and emotions, and that's how you deliver. But I also think it's an art to be able to
It is.
have crucial conversations and give feedback rather than going around the point and just being like, well, why are we talking about this? It's like, sometimes it's very hard.
It is. I'm gonna ask you a question.
Hey,
Uh, no, I was just thinking, do you think since COVID, we've lost the art of also socializing?
100%.
Yeah.
I think even myself, I forgot how to interact with other humans. We all got a bit weird. I mean, I was like propagating plants and doing what I was doing.
No, I raise that because I feel like, a lot of organizations are doing hybrid, like
Yes, yes,
workplaces. And I find that a lot of people just come direct, like, "Hi, Daisy, I need this." And I'm always like, "Hi, how are you? How is your dog?" They're like, "What?" I'm like, "How are you doing?" And they're like,
yes.
"I'm so sorry. That was really rude of me." I'm like, "Oh, good." Yeah,
But then that's the EQ that they're not thinking of others. They're
correct.
just thinking of themselves. And it's funny because I've actually been asked to talk at CyberCon as well. So I'm going to be talking about
Oh,
this of like organizations, and we're
amazing.
social beings.
Yeah,
That it's like, treat other people as you want to be treated,
that's right.
but then you have to have standards and values and
Yeah,
similar to yourself. It's not just going, hey Daisy, can you help me with this? It's
that's
like,
right.
well, how's your day going? Like
Yeah,
I'm a human as
yeah,
well.
yeah. And I feel like you build much stronger relationships that way. And also psychological safety is a very big thing I believe in.
Correct. And that's huge.
Mm,
And then that's how you build great teams, right?
yeah,
And on that point, I want to ask you as a leader, talk us through your mindset shift as you've gone from a 400 person team to a 5,000 person team.
yeah.
Yeah, talk us through that shift.
It was harder than I thought because I had always actually been in large organizations, Well, the first one was an American company, like everyone, yeah, that was huge. And then one of the largest banks in Australia, and then, yeah, 400. Then now it's a couple of thousand. That shift was more difficult than I thought because I think I got used to things being very agile and quick because of the size. So it's not that there's more layers. Honestly, it's quite flat where I am now, even at Medibank, but it's just more, there are more things to consider because there's more employees and also there's actually three distinct brands. I don't know if you know of, but, at Medibank, we have Medibank, as most people will know of. There's AHM, and then we've also got AMPLA. And personally, as someone with a disability, I'm really proud of it because AMPLA is all about providing healthcare, especially healthcare within the home. So, instead of having to stay in hospital, you are now able to go home and the nurses will come to you, which, saves time and just more comfortable as someone who's had to be in hospital in and out throughout my life.
That's amazing, isn't it? And
Mm.
and you're able to facilitate and help them with this.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And in terms of, because you're on a few different panels as well. So, like, for somebody, like, how can you get on panels and, talk us through that, because I think that's an art as well, or a skill.
100%. It's actually been a journey. I think because people are like, "Oh, you're so confident now. You're so good at speaking." Now, there is a little bit of like genetics. I think I was born to speak, except according to mum, and it is true, I didn't speak much till I was 5, and then I was been making up for lost time since. But I think start small. So I actually, the first time I really spoke publicly was at it was during COVID. I hosted a webinar and I was the moderator. So I was moderating, and I remember my friends who super tuned in were like, "You're a real nervous, weren't you?" I'm like, "Yeah." So it takes time and practice. And I always say, "Who's your Oprah? Like, what would Oprah do?" It doesn't have to be Oprah. And I will give you the example. I love sharing this, but it was quite traumatic for me at the time. So I was hosting a really large meeting across an organization. There were probably 300 attendees in this online meeting. And suddenly, as I was wrapping up, this person said, "Can I say something? Can I, you know?" So they, turned the camera on and muted themselves, and unfortunately, just started bawling their eyes out. And they had some tragedy that had happened in their family, and it was really awkward in the sense that because obviously I knew what had happened, but I couldn't share on her behalf. To me, that's not my story to share. God bless my manager. Then we're still friends. I looked at him via my screen and he just looked at me and go, "To do. I don't know, look, So then I literally at that moment was like, what would Oprah do? Surely I've watched enough hours of Oprah. So I literally was like, I think Oprah would do this. So I said, thank you so much for being so vulnerable. Thank you for sharing. I said some pretty Oprah-like things like, "We're all a family here, take care of yourself. It's really difficult times during lockdown, COVID." And I somehow remembered, and if you need anything, please reach out to EAP, Employee Assistant Program. Yeah, but that was the pivotal moment because there was 300 people staring at me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's you learn those skills as well, right?
Yeah,
It's only, I think that the education system often, like, prepares us for a perfect world. It's like you got to get the top marks, but
yeah,
in reality, it's like you have these experiences and you just learn from it.
yeah, and I think it goes back to being authentic. I'm not very good being scripted. So, I hope you've got some good content today because it's not scripted at all.
Hey, I'm loving this conversation.
But yeah, I'm just not very good being scripted, and I think it's for people who maybe want to get into public speaking, be authentic, and it's okay to make mistakes. Like, I had a coughing fit on the stage once, and my friend, bless him, he was like, "You okay?" And I'm like, "Stop talking!" And I literally ripped my lapel mic off because I didn't want to cough into people's ears. What else have I done? Yeah, there's other things, and I'm quite known to be on the stage, and if I see someone in the audience, I'll be like, "Hey, you and I used to work together. Do you like this example?" I like to interact with it, but not everyone's that style. So I think just find your own style.
But there's a lot of wisdom in there, like even holding a microphone. Like, people don't understand that if you start moving the microphone, if you talk it like
Yeah,
it's gonna all change. And
yeah.
so I love how you call people out, Daisy. It's brilliant. And digging into some of the
Mhm.
cyber area. So what is the importance of knowledge sharing in the industry?
So important. I think we're not competing with each other. So I think the 4 banks, yeah, you're gonna compete with each other when it comes to mortgages, interest rates, who has a better Qantas points deal, so you switch credit cards. We've all done that, right? I think there is competition, right? And it's healthy to have that competition. But when it comes to cybersecurity, we're all fighting against the same, threat actors, bad people essentially, right? The criminals. So why are we not helping each other? Like, I don't understand because, like, we don't need to fight against who has better security. Let's just all be in it together. And there are really good ISACs now, like info sharing groups, associations out there. And, obviously Chatham House rules, NDAs and stuff, but I think it is very helpful. And, unfortunately, the threat actors, those big groups, the nation state sponsored ones, Shiny Hunters, Scatter Spiders, all those, you know, very NCIS names, but they do work together quite well. So why can't, if the bad people, if the threat actors can work so well together and collaborate, why are we not doing that? So yeah, so I believe, competition is important, but I don't think we need it in cyber. So we need to collaborate.
You're so right. And maybe everyone needs to just put their egos aside or the tall
Yeah,
poppy syndrome or whatever and just like collaborate, especially as
yeah,
a country. It's like, okay, well, how can cyber in Australia just keep going up?
yeah. Ask anyone who's worked with me, for me, together, they'll say she's so bossy. And I always say, is it bossy or is it leadership if I was a male?
I love strong leadership, and that's why I
Yeah,
love these conversations because there needs to be more conversation about great leadership
yeah,
because it's tough, right?
it
Like
is.
people don't understand, sometimes you can't sleep because the responsibility you have for other humans
Yeah,
and the care that you want from your heart, like you're trying to do the best you can with what you know to keep
yeah.
growing. And how would you define good leadership?
Oh, that's a really good question. I believe in leading with empathy. And I think it's really important that your team members, your teams have autonomy and agency. I think they're different, having the autonomy to do things independently, but the agency to make decisions. I think that's really important. But I'm also Chinese. I'm a tiger mum when it comes to my dog. So I think I also believe in firm but fair. So if there is a problem, tell me direct, and I'll tell my team direct as well. But I'm never rude though. I don't understand how like people are like, "Oh, that's so aggressive." I'm like, "How is that aggressive? I didn't raise my voice. I didn't swear at you. I just said, hey, there's a problem. Can we talk about it and what we can do better?" Yeah.
Maybe it's that hard cheese and soft
Yeah, I
cheese.
think so. I might steal that hard and soft. I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
But I also think it's important for leaders to admit their flaws as well, because no one's perfect. Yeah,
And even apologize if you muck up. Like
that's
it's
right.
like, no one's perfect. It's almost I see leadership as almost parenthood. But
Yeah,
throughout that, what you're saying, I also what came to mind is that you've got great people skills as well. It's not
yeah,
like that person who comes directly to you, like tell me this, and you're like,
exactly.
well, you,
Yep.
you sprinkled that in between all of that.
Yeah, exactly. And also, but it goes back to my point before about building that relationship. Like, if you've always just had this relationship where every time you message me, it's direct, I just need this report, then if I was to give you feedback, of course you're going to be on the defense because I've never had a good, pleasant experience engaging with you, right?
So
But if you've always had a nice rapport and a good relationship and you come from a place of just process improvement, it's actually not personal. Yeah.
and I did want to ask because you've pivoted many years ago into cyber.
Yes.
So what would you recommend to anyone who's looking to make that change
Into cyber or anything.
into cyber?
Is that, I will admit, I think everyone you speak to will actually, you recruit, wouldn't you agree? I find the cyber industry a very hard one to get into. It's great once you're in. I actually, did marketing at uni and then I pivoted. I didn't pivot, I kinda half fell into it. So I got my first role as a project coordinator in straight IT, and then my next role, I would literally applied for something called a pen test scheduler. I'm like, "What, you test pens?" I literally had no idea what I was doing, and I'm pretty sure my team, we're still friends, and they're like, "I wish she hired. She doesn't even know what we do." I learned very quickly what a pen test was and the different systems and the reasons of the vulnerabilities. I learned very quick on the job. That was my first cyber role, so I think I was very lucky in that sense, but I think but I then went back to do my grad cert in cybersecurity. As I've had some war stories. I've unfortunately had some experiences where I've had managers say to me, "I don't know what your next step is because you're not technical. What should you do in cyber?" So I did go back and do my grad cert in cybersecurity just to prove to myself I still hate networking. If I need to look at another TCP/IP model, eh, I cannot. But I survived. I did it, and a lot of those friends who did it, we're trying to get into the industry and it is hard. And I think there's a bit of a disconnect. So I think the the tertiary education is trying to help by having a lot of these courses, Cert 3, Cert 4, Masters, all that. But I don't think organizations are doing enough to create entry-level roles. I'm sure you would agree when you recruit, most organizations will say 5 years minimum, preferably 10 in cyber. And it's like they just graduated last week. Or what do you want them to do? And how many, capture the flags can they do? Is that really experience? Like, it's great that they're doing it. Yeah. So I think there's just a bit of a disconnect, and I don't think the industry's fixed that yet.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And to your point as well, when you're starting out, it's always the hardest to get the
Yes.
first job. It's like you have to just get relentless with it. Just
Yes.
keep networking, be curious.
Yes.
But I think communication skills are going to start trickling through as like really stand out.
Yeah. And that's a great point. I was going to say networking is probably one of the best ways, but please network in the right way. And what I mean by that is, do not message someone on LinkedIn out of the blue and just say, "This is my CV. Can you get me a job?" I'm sorry. I'm not trying to attack those people. And you know what? Maybe they've been given the wrong advice. I'm not here to say that it's the wrong approach, but unfortunately, for me at least, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I've not met you. I've not worked with you. I cannot recommend. But if you connect, if I've met with you, or at an event, whether it be CyberCon, last Tuesday of the month drinks. You heard about that one?
No.
Oh, you're missing out. We all catch up every last Tuesday of the month.
Do you? I have
Yeah.
to come along.
All right, I'll send you details.
Yes.
But, these events are great because you get to meet people at a very casual setting,
Yes.
not at a conference. But yeah, network. And I have responded to cold messages, but it needs to be crafted well. But I really struggle when there's no connection. Like, you've not watched any of my podcasts or done a bit of research about me.
Yes.
I also struggle when people come and just say, "I want to get into the industry." Which part of the industry?
Yes.
Because again, I'm from a security culture and awareness. I've done pen testing, but I don't understand digital forensics. So I can't help you. But I've got friends in that space. So I can still help you, but you need to tell me so I can help you. Yeah.
And that's huge. Like someone's also said, like work with your personality in
100%.
terms of like what actually draws you, what you're
Yeah.
talking. Are you more into that awareness or more into forensic? And then just the more conversations you have, the more you'll realize that some of these words like pen or sock, sock is something you wear as for the first came up and said, and I
Exactly.
was like, you're very right. Actually, there's many, many different terms. And I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation, Daisy, and bringing this into land.
Mhm.
Have you got any last wisdoms, anything you'd love to share to get off from your chest?
Wow, that's a really good question. Let me think. I think to be resilient, it's not always going to be easy. Now, whether it's be life, because it kind of ebbs and flows, or the cyber industry, but learn to be resilient. And I like to tell the ladies out there to really back themselves, because imposter syndrome is real. People don't think I have it, but I do. Because I'm also human, like you said, Alex. Like, we're just all humans. No one's perfect. But I think, master the art of asking for help and resilience.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show, Daisy.
Thank you so much.
If you like this episode, please like and subscribe. It helps the growth of the channel so we can keep interviewing some of the best minds that there are here. Thank you very much.